The Galaxy Z Fold 6 is the latest foldable from Samsung, and I've had roughly a month with this device. Since I've already made a couple of videos about this phone, I'm going to try and keep this one short. And if you saw those other videos, then you'll know that I bought the Z Fold 6 with my own money to use and test. However, as you can see, I don't have the device in my hands. So spoiler alert, it's because I ended up returning it. It doesn't mean the Z Fold 6 isn't a good device, because honestly, I think it's the best foldable that Samsung has made. As I pointed out in my initial review video, there were just a couple of issues that I couldn't get past. And because I'm buying this phone for myself, I just felt like it wasn't worth the upgrade. And especially now with the recent release of the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, it's a serious decision to make if you're going to be dropping nearly $2,000 on a new phone. But let me break down the overall experience for you guys because it might still be a perfect phone for you. Starting off with the hardware, the first issue that I had was the loose power button. Yes, it might seem super minor, but every time you lock and unlock the device, you can hear it rattling around and it gets super annoying in day-to-day use. I had reached out to Samsung and even my replacement unit had a loose power button. Although it wasn't nearly as loose, it was definitely still noticeable. The replacement unit also had an issue with the hinge, where when the device is folded, there was a gap between the displays. So I noticed that dust and lint would easily get trapped between the displays, and this can definitely cause premature failure. Again, this issue is kind of minor and I could have just been really unlucky because overall the build quality seems exceptional. I love the new squared off industrial design and the phone just feels so premium in the hand. I've said it before, but I think this is definitely one of the best looking devices that Samsung has made and it looks unlike anything else out there. Moving on to the outer screen, this is another area of hot debate. Some people say the outer screen is way too narrow and wish that it was wider. Personally, I actually prefer the narrow form factor because I think it helps with the one-handed usability. The Z Fold 6 screen is slightly increased from last year, and although minimal, it definitely does help with the usability and typing. And if you're like me, the outer screen is the one that I use 80% of the time, so it's definitely an important factor in your decision. If you love big displays and would rather the outer screen be wider, then I think sticking with a slab phone like the S24 Ultra would still be your best bet. However, the whole point of having a foldable is the fact that you can open it up and have a really large inner display. And the inner screen on the Z Fold 6 is even better than last year. It's super bright, responsive, and the material they used feels even harder than before. It feels closer to glass, and I'm not as worried about damaging it. I noticed significantly less marks when using the S Pen on the display. Speaking of the S Pen, there are no real added benefits this time around. You still have to carry it separately and it still gets easily lost. So I'm really hoping for the next generation, Samsung can find a way to integrate the S Pen into the Fold. Although the inner display is amazing for content consumption, the crease is still there and yes, it still bothers me. Now, I know it's highly personal and a lot of people probably won't be bothered by it at all. But it's something that I notice every time I write or use a device with the S Pen and when I'm sharing the device and watching videos with others. That crease is definitely noticeable. But overall, if display size is important, then the inner display still trumps any other slab phone. The multitasking features paired with the content and entertainment consumption is why you buy this device. Moving on to the battery life, I was pleasantly surprised by this. Although the capacity hasn't changed from its predecessor, the processor is much more efficient. So I'm getting roughly 6 to 7 hours of screen on time compared to 3 to 4 hours on my old Z Fold 4. Of course, there are always exceptions, and if you're using the inner display a lot or you're taking a lot of photos and videos, then the battery life will suffer. But even then, I'm surprised by how much more juice you're able to get out of this same capacity battery. The cameras on the Z Fold 6 are largely unchanged from its predecessor. The main camera is pretty much the only one that I would say is usable. Both the ultra-wide and the telephoto really suffer in low light. It's no secret that foldables all have subpar cameras compared to their flagship slab phones, but it really feels like the cameras in the Z Fold 6 are a lot worse than the S24 Ultra. So again, I really hope they improve this with the next generation, and I'm curious to see how these cameras stack up against the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. So if you're a photographer or a content creator and image quality is really important, I would probably consider the S24 Ultra if you're looking within the Samsung ecosystem. Overall, it's extremely hard to recommend the Z Fold 6 as an upgrade over the Z Fold 4 or Z Fold 5. Yes, the overall design and slight refresh makes it feel like a much more refined device, but how much is that worth to you exactly? To me, it just wasn't worth it, considering I also had a few hardware problems with my devices. But if you're coming from a slap phone and you want to experience your first foldable, then I would say seriously consider the Z Fold 6. Both the hardware and software work really well together in the foldable space, and you also get a bit of that Google AI magic in it as well. But still, I would say not to underestimate the utility of the S24 Ultra. With its huge display, much better durability, and built-in S Pen, there's a lot that it can do, not to mention the flagship level cameras. So yeah, if you guys have the Z Fold 6, please let me know how it's been for you. Have you guys encountered any of those hardware issues, and how are you liking the device so far? I know the Pixel 9 Pro Fold was recently announced, and I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that device to test out as well. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.